Welcome to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast, where today's top influencers and entrepreneurs on the rise share empowering stories and ninja tips to become the fuel that ignites a positive change in your life. Our guests don't simply coast through life. They don't let difficult situations stop them. They set big goals, keep their eyes on the prize, and they're joining us today to share insider secrets you can use right now to step into your power and live your purpose. Now, here's your host, Christy Ruffino.
Well, welcome everybody to today's episode of the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast. I am Christy Ruffino, the show host, and I have the fortune of interviewing today's guest, Amber Champagne-Matos. Amber is the owner and founder of multiple beauty businesses, and she believes in doing what you love, not doing what you once loved. Amber is a licensed esthetician, skincare entrepreneur, and former senior national educator for Benefit Cosmetics. During her career with Benefit, she traveled the country extensively and trained thousands of other estheticians. She also wrote groundbreaking educational content for the company, both nationally and internationally, contributing to Benefit's remarkable corporate growth. To put this all in perspective, Benefit employs more than 6,000 estheticians in 59 countries across 5 continents, and it's part of the world-renowned luxury brand Louis Vuitton, which I actually didn't know that. Her experience with major cosmetics brands gives her the edge and knowledge she needed to confidently face the world of beauty, and she dared to dream along the way. In the last year alone, Amber has established 3 interconnecting businesses, created a regularly visited beauty blog and shop, and she began to develop an up-and-coming skincare line, and she also became an Amazon bestselling author. This year, she is working on a second book, getting ready to launch her skincare line. She's expanding into other territories, and she's helping other estheticians build their dream businesses. On more of a personal note, Amber has lived on both coasts, but she's truly an East Coast girl at heart. She is fascinated by the Enneagram, and she once did makeup during New York's famous Fashion Week. And I actually met Amber, a couple years ago now on Facebook in one of the groups that we were in, and we connected right away. I think she is an amazing woman. I love her passion, her edge, and I can't wait for you to all meet Amber Champagne-Matos. So welcome, Amber. I'm so glad to have you on the show today.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be with you. You know, I love spending any amount of time with you, Christy. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, it does seem like we seem to connect in some sort of a event or a conversation almost every week, but you always are referring people to me. It's just great how we've been able to, even though we live miles apart and we've never met each other personally, we've seen each other so much online and we build a great relationship. And I am one of your best supporters, and it seems like you are to me too. So I love how we lift each other up.
Yeah, 100%. You know, I love you.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know I've gotten to know Amber a lot in the last couple years, but the audience hasn't. So can you share a little bit about who you are and why you're so passionate about the area that you're in right now?
Yeah, so I have been an esthetician for about almost a decade now at this point. Prior to starting my own business, I actually had a career in multi-level retail management and the corporate sector. And I did a lot of that time inside of the educational areas in those places. And I really enjoyed teaching so much. I mean, even when I was like, first a manager, like in a store, I always loved the training aspect of things. It was just something that always came naturally to me. And I just live for that like aha moment. It's like, it's something that really sparks joy in my soul. It like ignites me. It gets me up in the morning when I know that I have people to work with and I'm like ready to help them get educated in whatever it is that they're looking to kind of learn or grow in. So that's what, that's a big piece of what led me to creating the Esthetician's Guide to Business, which is my, courses and my consulting and coaching and all the stuff that I do for estheticians and how to build their dream business. That really, it stems from that educational piece and how much I really, truly love just doing that. I also, a huge piece of me is I live by serving other people well with heart and integrity. And it's just educating, helping, creating and cultivating and growing businesses allows me to do that every single day. And I'm just really thankful for that. I think one of the biggest things that really drove me to kind of just going out on my own in general, and this, Christy, but I lost my second son when I was almost 6 months pregnant. And when that happened, it really forced me to just totally reevaluate everything about my life. And as much as I love really educating people and doing the things that I was doing in my jobs, I wasn't happy where I was. And it just really, that whole moment in my life made me kind of look at everything a little bit differently, and just drove me to a place where I said, I'm going to go out on my own. And originally I know this, but originally I was like, I'm just going to go out. I'm going to serve people well. I'm going to do some brows and skincare for people. And I'm going to go home. Right. I was just going to start a brow and skin studio. And then, the pandemic hit. And then it was I am not going to allow my business to fail. And there's nothing else I can do at this point except for get online and figure out something. So that's then how this entire thing spiraled out of control into a place where it was oh my gosh, so.
Yeah. So there's a lot here to unpack. First of all, you are a teacher at heart. You are passionate about educating people. And that is not something that everybody has that gift. And so you do it well. I've seen you do it well, and you have a real heart to do that. And you've been on this journey that first started with the whole, the brows, but you've kind of been open to being led in the direction. And of course, the pandemic was probably a little nudge for you. But I really love the direction you're on now, and what you're doing to help other estheticians that are kind of really great at their craft, but they're not necessarily good at building a business around that. And I love how you've kind of gotten really clear on your focus, because now I just see how you're really making a huge impact in the businesses and lives of other people that you're able to serve now. So that's great. How you were open to being led, and now you're running with it. Like you said, you're spiraling out of control, which is great.
Yeah. And, and it's it's so funny because I always wanted to have a quote. That was some weird little thing. I was oh, I wish I had a quote, and I would say all these things and look them up online and then go, oh yeah, Gandhi said that, or someone amazing would be on there. And I'd be no, it's not it. But when I really started to dig into this whole piece of things, what I really found myself doing was being open to those opportunities. And then that's how my quote that is actually written in my book came to be. And it says, I write my dreams in pencil, not so they can be erased, but because they can always be revised. And I think it's super important to always be open to those other opportunities, because you just don't know where you're going to be led. And you just get clearer and clearer and clearer as you go. And you end up in a space that you really, truly love if you just let your heart be open to it.
Yeah. And honestly, the clearness comes from going in the path of your destiny in a sense, because I know a lot of people are going down paths, and I see this all the time when I work with my clients. They're going down a path, but they're not able to get that clarity, and they're still stuck and confused. And I know I've been through that, and I'm sure you've been through this, but once you're following your purpose, it just becomes crystal clear, and then nothing can stop you. And that's what I really love about watching you now. It's just nothing is stopping you. You're just bang, bang, bang. You're just doing it. And, what is it? Taking no names. I don't know what the quote is, but I love the pencil quote. We'll have to make sure we throw that in there. It's in there. So I write my dreams in pencil so they can be erased. Not so they can be erased, but they can always be revised. I love that. We will make sure that we add that quote into our show notes with this episode. So share a little bit about your story, because I know you've kind of you shared your story in one of our Overcoming Mediocrity books, the Unstoppable Woman edition. And I know I would love to have this audience read your story and get to know, Amber on a more personal level. But can you share a little teaser about your story?
Yeah. I think, when I look back at everything and all of the different things that have gotten me to where I am, right? I kind of shared a little bit already about like my previous experience and kind of how I ended up in this moment of reevaluation and like where that brought me to. Um, I just look at my story as like it is what it is, right? Like there's nothing that I look back on and say, oh man, of course it's like I have thoughts like, oh gosh, I really wish that, that didn't happen or whatever. But in reality, every single thing that has happened is what has gotten me to where I am now. And, part of who I am is all of those things. So it's like when I think about my story, I think about it really holistically of like everything that has gone on in my entire life, like up until now, that has made me the person that I am. And when I think about myself in business, that's really what I try to portray as much as possible is those pieces of me that really stick with me and have stuck with me for a long time. Like, serving others well with heart and integrity. To me, that is the number one most important thing that I can possibly be doing. And I think the reason why that is because when I look at my story, when I look at myself and my brand and my life and all the things that kind of just amalgamate to come to whatever it is that I'm then serving out to the world, it's everything that I do is based on that. So if I don't do that, I'm not going to be authentic to myself. I'm not going to be authentic to my story. I'm not giving honor to those challenges and those spaces and places that I've been. And that just wouldn't feel right to me.
Yeah, I totally get it. And I will say, there are a lot of different personas that you see online, and you have a really great visual brand online as well as in person. The audience can't see you right now, but you have this, looks like blue highlights on your hair. Or is it an ombre, blue ombre?
Yeah, it's greenish ombre now.
Yeah,
Yep, it was jade.
Yeah, and you got these really cool kind of like almost Egyptian earrings. And of course, your face looks beautiful all the time, no matter when I see you in one of these Zoom rooms. And you got these beautiful tattoos on your arm. And, it's just, you are just such an authentic person visually with your brand, but underneath it, you are the one that's always showing up when I post to make a great comment, and you're always supporting me. Everything I do, it seems like, oh, Amber's there to help me, get to that next level. So serving with heart and integrity is definitely embodied with everything you do. And that is going to serve you. The Go-Giver is a book that I read a long time ago. And the more people you serve, the more people end up by serving you along the way. And this is who you are. That's how you live. So that is so true.
Thank you. I mean, it just is. It's just who I am. I'm not going to be anybody different. I'm not going to change for anyone or anything. It's just not in my nature to do that. And, I really I talk the talk, I want to walk the walk. So when you say that I come and I'm like, onto your threads and all of these things and I'm supporting you and, and I know that we have a lot of great mutual friends who are also doing big things. And, I'm always supporting them and just encouraging and talking and making sure that I'm putting those things out there that I'm also then teaching other people to do. I have my Facebook group, Estheticians Unite, and I created that group because I wanted to have a safe space for community for estheticians who really truly wanted to be around other supportive people in the industry, who really truly wanted to build their business together and to help one another and to stop the competition and to stop the just all the things that go along. I know it happens everywhere, but especially in the beauty industry, it's inundated with stuff like that. And it's always been on my heart since day one, since I started doing makeup, like way back in the day. I used to have this like little makeup business and I would do wedding makeup and other stuff, right? Fashion shows, different things. And even then, I always thought about like how innovative we could be or how many different things we could do if we would just band together and work together and come together. And it just doesn't seem that that's like the normal path that happens inside of our industry.
Yeah.
And so I've been really like diligent to make sure that everything that I do is speaking to that. And so I want to do that in my own life. Like I'm not just out there telling other people that I think that's important. I literally believe that's important. And I do that every single day. I find ways to encourage one of y'all like at some point every day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I would question for you. I know we don't have this right now, but is it okay for us to share the link for your Facebook group in the show notes?
Oh yeah,
Because
absolutely.
if there are estheticians listening right now that feel that they could be served by your community, I know you're very active in there. You provide a lot of great value and support for your community in that group. So we'll make sure we get that link to put in the show notes for people that want to like at least check out the group and see if it's a good fit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. All right. Well, do you mind hanging on a moment? We're going to stop for a quick commercial break. And then I know you have some great information to share. It was really good to get to know you on a personal level, but now I know you've got some teaching points. You are a natural teacher, so I don't think I'm going to be able to stop you from teaching. So we'll get to that after the commercial. Today's episode is brought to you by the Overcoming Mediocrity Project. Are you ready to share your story in a life-changing book with other success-driven women? Then what if you could use that book to get speaking gigs, podcast interviews, and possibly a new client or two? Wouldn't that be great? Well, watch out, chicken soup. Here comes Overcoming Mediocrity. Our proven system can transform your struggle story into a powerful signature message and then as one chapter in an Amazon best-selling book. Our process is simple and economical, and it will bring a lot of eyeballs on you, your business, and your big message to the world. We welcome you to apply to join our project. Just visit us at overcomingmediocrity.org and click on the apply button at the top of the page. We'll see you soon. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast. I am Christy, and I have Amber Champagne-Matos with us today. And Amber, welcome back.
Thank you.
So I have a couple questions for you. What advice would you give right now to beauty professionals who are looking to start a business during this time that sometimes feels a little uncertain? I know things are getting a little bit better, but we don't really know what's around the corner. So what advice would you give them?
You know, when I think about business in general, I think of uncertainty. And if you are going to become an entrepreneur, I think you need to know right off the bat that nothing is ever really going to be certain with what you're doing. So to me, when we've had like all this extra time, you know, we've been stuck at home or, you know, we've just been doing what we can to kind of keep to ourselves or whatever that looks like. I think that that is a prime opportunity to start looking at things and saying, hey, I really had this dream. I really want to make this happen. I have the time to do it. Yes, it feels uncertain, but business is always going to be uncertain. So to me, I think it's like, you know, it's a great time to kind of evaluate what you have going on, look at your dreams, see if you can plan something out and get it going. I think the other piece of it is that when you get into business, it is imperative to plan. And I think a lot of times people get into business and have these extraordinary ideas and they're incredibly talented. I know for estheticians specifically, I know some absolutely wonderfully talented estheticians in the treatment room. I mean, they can knock your socks off with some of the stuff that they can help you do, right? It doesn't necessarily translate to business skills. It doesn't necessarily translate to understanding planning and organizing business plans and marketing plans and understanding your ITA, your ideal target audience, and what that looks like, right? That to me is, those foundational pieces are so important. And that's why I created the Esthetician's Guide to Business, so that it can help people to gain those business skills so that they can become business savvy and they can build their dreams, their business, whatever they want, and have a life that they really love and not feel so scared or nervous about what's going on, you know?
Yes, absolutely. So would this be who would be the ideal client avatar or ideal target audience for this guide? Would this be estheticians that are working for a company, or would they be estheticians who are on their own and they know what they love and they do a great job at what they do, but the business piece is where they're struggling?
I think we have a lot of things going on for kind of all of those groups of people. Ideally, you know, when you think about working with me, when you think about really getting into these courses and taking on this, you know, this type of work and planning and all of that, it really is targeted towards the solo esthetician who is either starting their business and wants to start off on the right foot, or has been in business for a really long time. And now, during this new unprecedented era, they're kind of like, ooh, what was working before isn't really working now. And I need to maybe replan, reorganize, relook at some things, kind of maybe take in some new, fresh techniques and put some different things in place. So that's really the target audience for our main programs. But we definitely have different things, you know, like the quick guide to start your business. That's something that any esthetician can look at and say, you know, I've thought about doing this before. Do these things apply to me? Am I putting these things in place? Does this make sense? Is this something I want to dig into a little bit deeper and get more information about, or maybe think about, or, you know, just even begin to plan? Maybe it's not today that you're going into business, but you're thinking, I should start some planning. I should start looking at something. You know, there's resource guides that we have that help people with content creation and understanding their ideal target audience. And, you know, I know even when we met, Christy, my ideal target audience, I'm just going to put this out there on the airwaves. I did not know what I was talking about with my ideal target audience. Okay. Like I thought, and this is what a lot of people think when they get into business, especially estheticians. I talk to these people every day. I say, what's your ideal target audience? And they say, anybody who's a teen to mature, who's dealing with anti-aging and acne, right? And you're like, whoa, great start.
That's everybody, basically.
Yeah, but like, let's dial it down, because everybody's not your client. And it can feel like everybody's your client when you're in a profession like mine. And that's where I think I even struggled for some time in the beginning, but now I'm like real dialed in. Like I know exactly who I'm talking to. And it's so important to know that, because every single other business decision that you make, your business planning, your marketing planning, your branding, the content that you use, how your website is set up, what features are important. I mean, every single thing you do is based on that audience. Does that mean that you can't take somebody in to your treatment room outside of that audience? Of course not. But that's how you're going to really funnel people into your business and get those people who you really want to work with in the door, so that you're doing services you love, you have a business you love, you have clients you love. It's just so important. So I think there's resources for everyone at any level, even to just see if this is something that they want to get into. But ideally, we are really hands-on and working with those solo estheticians who are either starting their business and want to start off right, or are transforming their business into something amazing in this new era.
Awesome. So yes, I know this whole ideal client and niching your business down is something that a lot of people struggle with. They feel that they're going to leave money on the table if they can't help everybody. But you know, we see it over and over again how the more defined you get with who your ideal client is, it's what happens is you actually rise above the noise out there, and people will be attracted to you. So you're not out there shouting, "Come buy my stuff." You're basically becoming the person that they need, and they will come to you, or you're going to get referrals like crazy. So I know that's a common problem, and I love that you address that. And I also know that you have a whole, like, kind of like an academy of content that you can help people with every step of their journey. And so I know social media is a big piece of your strategy. And can you speak to how your online marketing is like, why would that be an effective strategy if you have a physical location, kind of a brick and mortar business as an esthetician?
Everyone is online. So your business needs to be too. That's really just what it comes down to. If you think about even if you only solely have an in-person brick and mortar location, you need to have an online presence, because when people are looking to come and see you, they want to see your reviews, they want to see your content, they want to see, what's going on, how you're interacting with people. And more importantly, what people don't realize, especially in this industry, is that they want to know who you are. A lot of times, you'll go on to esthetician sites or onto their social media, and it's all these before and after pictures, and albeit they may be beautiful, but I don't know who you are behind there. And if I'm coming to see you as an esthetician, I want to know who you are, because, like, let's be real, any estheticians listening to this know 1000% that we are not only estheticians, we are basically like counselors, right? We're like non-degreed counselors, and I'm not trying to take away from anybody who does that for a living. You guys are amazing, and I definitely do not have the skills that you have. But what I mean by that is that people just pour their hearts out to you. So they don't want to just see your work. They don't want to just see your before and after. They want to know who you are. And there needs to be a dialed strategy into creating those content areas so that you can drive people in to your business. The other thing about online is that in social and all of that, I think that you're missing a major piece of your business if you're not trying to do something from an online perspective. I'm going to tell you, in terms of virtual consultations, shop purchases, just blog stuff that has driven people to me. All of that has been a major piece of growing my business. And I think it's really important for people to be on there. I also think that, as we're moving into a new direction, people have now been re-educated to see and know how much they can get from an online perspective. So if they know that they can get a virtual consultation over here, but they can't get one over here, and they like you and they want to work with you, but it's easier for them to just go, I'm going to do it online. There's something there, that there's a big piece there. So I just think it's everybody needs to be online. It's not about having 1 million followers. That's not it. Because you can have 20,000 followers, and if you don't have 20,000 clients, well, it's not doing anything for you. It's just a number. So I don't want people to think about social media in terms of numbers and how many people they have in there, or or just ads, and thinking they have to feed people ads. I don't do ads at all. I do no ads. That group, that esthetician group that I've had, we grew that group from 39 members to over 1,600 in 68 days organically. So there are so many different things that you can do to find your ideal client once you know who they are. Hang out in those places and really drive people into a space where you can help them and you can provide something for them. So I don't know. I just think there's a massive piece of your business that you're missing out on if you're not online. And it just is what it is these days, right?
Yep, I totally agree. And it's not something you have to spend a lot of time at if you're strategic in what you do and you schedule in, even if it's 2 hours a week doing what you do, and maybe, a couple of time blocks, the results and the outcome are going to be monumental. And one piece that you didn't even touch on is that you only have so many hours a day as an esthetician. And when you're working with your clients one-on-one, and maybe you sell a product here and there, there's a cap at how much, it basically a cap on your earning potential. And if you build this online audience and then you are getting to the point where you're like, all right, I'm ready. I've got this big audience. I want to create a course. Now you're able to teach an area of your business that you tend to help people with a lot, or, a common problem. And you teach that and help people solve that problem virtually in a big way by creating a one-time training, and then people buy it for a one-time price. Then that's like duplicatable. So that social media presence is what's going to set any business up into creating a scalable business where they're able to kind of really increase their revenue exponentially by this one-to-many business model.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there is just so much opportunity within that. And
Yes.
and even, and to touch on what you're saying in terms of time, wholeheartedly, it's like, I agree with that. I think the other thing that comes with that is the burnout from doing so many services, and really thinking, I think when people get into this industry, they think a couple of things. They think, that they have to take on every service in the world in order to take on every client in the world. And I just don't believe in that. I think you need to specialize. They also think that, well, I'll just do really high ticket stuff, even if I'm not in love with it, which I'm like, ooh, baby, take it down a notch, because the burnout, I'm telling you, it's a real thing. So it's like they think they're going to take, do these like high ticket offers, and they're going to do a ton of them a day. Now, I'm licensed in, or not licensed, but certified in microblading, right? Microblading is a pretty high ticket offer in terms of aesthetics. But when you're microblading somebody, it's like essentially doing surgery. That's what I feel like. It's like you're like, you're all in your PPP and you've got everything all sanitized and sterilized, and you're like, and it is an intense situation when you're doing that. And I personally wouldn't take on more than 2 clients a day doing those services. So again, I'm hitting a cap.
Yes,
You
you are.
go in thinking you're going to take 8 people a day. You're not going to do that, because it's physically hard, And when you think about time and resources and effort and all of that, it's like it runs into that whole piece about self-care that I think entrepreneurs really, really struggle with, especially the really driven ones, because they want to just keep going. But it's so important to make sure that you're taking time for yourself, that you have that available quiet time. I think no time is the term that Steve Jobs and like Albert Einstein used or something. But to refill what's going on, because you can't pour from an empty cup.
You are so true. All right. Well, we've got a lot of great, have had a lot of great conversations around this. I have one more question. I want to shift gears just a little bit, because I know you have a lot of resources for people that may be facing their midlife skin crisis. And I at first didn't really know what that was. And I know I've been educated a lot, only because, there's a certain piece of what I struggle with that I am your ideal client, but the whole midlife skin crisis didn't necessarily resonate with me. So can you share what that is? And if somebody's listening that maybe isn't an esthetician, how could they get some great resources from you? Because I know you've got 2 free gifts that you're sharing in the links below in the show notes for this episode.
Yes. Okay. So first of all, it's okay that you didn't know what that was, because I totally made it up.
Perfect. Well, but that's fine.
It's just the term that I use to describe the niche that I work with. I really, as an esthetician personally, I solely focus on women, essentially from the ages of 35 to 44, although it does expand on both sides of that, who are dealing with acne, hormonal issues, other skin condition issues that they're now getting as their hormones change and different things happen in our life and in our skin, but also simultaneously trying to prevent aging. And those 2 things don't always go together well, because when you think about acne treatments, a lot of them are very aggressive. A lot of them are very stripping to the skin. Things are getting better, which is fantastic. And they just had this incredible study drop in September that talks all about like inflammatory acne and how it's more of a balancing game. And it's something that I've actually been doing for a really long time. That doesn't strip your skin as much because it's not necessarily that. It's more about like balancing your microflora. I won't get too crazy technical, but it's like, it is, it's really fascinating and things are evolving is my whole point with that. And so that's great. However, there are still a lot of really aggressive treatments. And so when you're thinking anti-aging, the last thing that you want to do is be stripping your skin, drying it out, trying to get rid of all this stuff, and then causing the other aging aspect to happen. So it's a really delicate balance game. So that is what I primarily focus on as an esthetician myself. And I do have a fantastic resource on my website on champagneapothecary.com. It's an esthetician's guide to the midlife skin crisis. It basically is like an introductory ebook on what exactly is going on, some helpful tips on what you can do, some other additional resources and stuff. So it's there, it's free.
Yay.
It's yours.
All are free. All right. So that is good. I know, well, when we're young, we don't really think about aging. All we care about is, that big zit on our forehead. And I know, remember, I used to at one point would put rubbing alcohol on it and do all these bad things. And speaking of bad things, if anybody's listening right now, that's kind of in the place that I'm at in my 50s. And I know I've learned a few things from you that I want to make sure that everybody else knows. I don't know if we could say that, but there's some scrub out on the market that's an apricot smell, or there's apricot in it and it's really rough. And like, I know I used it for a while and a couple of my friends think it's the best thing in the world, but I know you said that it's one of the worst things. I'm not going to name the brand, but can you share why that particular very abrasive product is so bad for us?
100%. So anything that is really super aggressive, has a really harsh manual scrub inside of it, potentially it can cause micro tears in your skin. And
that's not good.
That's not good. What
No.
you're doing is you're breaking down the skin barrier. And the skin barrier is one of the most fascinating things to me in the entire world. It is the thinnest, most outer layer of your skin. And it protects you from literally everything. So it protects you from environmental toxins, free radicals, sun damage. I mean, it does all the externals, but it also helps to internally regulate your body, keep you in a state of homeostasis, make sure you don't physically dry out. It is just one of the most incredible things to me because I'm a huge skin science nerd. I'm a science nerd in general.
I knew these questions were going to get you on that geeky level.
I am. I'm sorry. I'm so geeky, but it's okay. So true. So what it's doing is it's breaking that down. So you don't want to break that down because then you're now letting all of these things into your skin.
Right.
And into your body.
So we want to use a scrub, but not something that's going to actually tear our skin.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't even, when you think about exfoliating, know that there are other options. You don't always have to use a scrub. You can use a chemical exfoliant. I personally love using glycolic for this because it really helps to break down the desmosomes in your skin and get rid of all the junk and what's going on, that's things that are falling into your pores or causing your skin to build up on itself or any of that. So there are other options for exfoliation. You should definitely exfoliate. But I think that where people get tripped up is they think exfoliating is like rubbing a rock on your face.
That it's got to be rough in order for it to work. So that's not true. Okay.
No, not true.
All right. I've got 2 more questions and we're running out of time. You had mentioned when I'm cleansing, because I suffer with rosacea, and maybe it's not just rosacea, but the whole water thing, like don't put water on your face first. Talk about that.
So you'll see those girls in the Neutrogena commercials. This is the example I always use, but they splash their face, right? And they look all like, oh, wow, so exotic and amazing. You don't want to do that. When you're using a cleanser, you actually want to use a little bit of cleanser in your hands, I talk with my hands like as if people can see me, but anyways, you want to use
she's rubbing her hands together right now.
Yeah, like in your clean hands, you want to use a little bit of cleanser. You want to add a little bit of water to that. And then you want to apply that directly to your face. And there's two reasons for that. One, you want the cleanser to actually adhere to all the dirt and oil and all that stuff on your face so it can sweep it away. And two, you don't want to put a ton of water on your skin, because what it's going to do is when you have a ton of water and it's sitting there and it starts to evaporate, it actually picks up the moisture in your skin that's naturally sitting there and it pulls it out, and it causes something called transepidermal water loss. So you just want to be careful with how much water you use. You want to be careful that it's not hot water. You don't want to wash your face in the shower. It's like you just want to do it where you can actually get the cleanser to adhere to whatever grime, dirt, oil, makeup, etc. that's on you, so you can get it off without all of that. You don't need all of that water.
Got it. All right. Last question. Your Skin Buddy. So I bought this amazing product from you, and it's this little handheld device that I don't use it to cleanse. I use it to put my lotions on, but it's got the red light therapy and the blue light therapy and the green light therapy. And I honestly only use the red because that I think tackles the wrinkles, right? And that's my focus. So share a little bit about why the different light therapies are good for our skin.
So the red light therapy, yes, helps with anti-aging, and it's an absolutely amazing, first of all, that tool is just amazing. I mean, it has ultrasonic vibration, it has thermal heat, it has positive and negative ion therapy, which helps to like pull dirt out and push product in. It has the red, blue, and green light therapy, the LED therapy. So it's just an incredible little tool. I love it. I use it in facials. My clients love it. They take it home. They're like, I need one. In reality, yes, anti-aging light is great for you, but also the green light is really helpful for a calming purpose. So like for you, for your, like you deal with, your challenge with rosacea.
Yep. I do use that on my area where I have the problems with my rosacea.
Yeah, exactly. So the green is actually really great for calming, for soothing, anti-inflammatory purposes. And then the blue is more of an antimicrobial, antibacterial light. So that deals with stuff like acne, different breakout issues that we're having. So that's why it's so great, especially for clients like mine, because they're dealing with all of it.
Yes.
And it's like, it's got something to target each one of those things.
And I think the last setting is like a rotating light therapy. So you get all of them in the.
It's like a party.
Yeah. That's true. You don't have to worry about it. It's just like, it just does its own thing. So I love that. All right. Well, Amber, this was so great. I know this was so much fun and great information. I love the end where you shared all your wisdom, and we could probably go on for another hour and you just like bore us to death, but make us laugh with all of your wisdom,
Yes.
which is fun because, I don't want to know how to take care. I don't want to know all the things, I just want to know what I need to do to get the right results.
Yeah, I always have to be careful about oversharing, but yeah, it's been a pleasure being with you. Thank you so much for having me on. And, I just love collaborating with you, Christy. It's always lovely.
Yes, you too. And let's make sure we get you back on the show at some point again soon. Please feel free to reach out to Amber. All of her contact information is included in the show notes below, as well as her 2 free gifts. And you can also read her story, get a hold of her. I'm sure she would be happy to send you an autographed copy of her book, Overcoming Mediocrity, Unstoppable Women. And she is one of the featured authors in that book. So thank you so much. Thanks everybody for listening. Make sure you like, subscribe, review our show, give us a great review. I guess you don't like it, but you subscribe and give us a great review, because the more feedback we get from you, the better chance we have of moving forward in a direction that's going to serve you. So thanks everybody. And thank you, especially Amber.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast, where we believe that everyone can have the business and life of their dreams once they've learned the art of mastering their story. Mastering our stories is the key to everything we want in life. Our stories can either hold us back or they can propel us to new heights. We can choose. You can choose. Choose to overcome mediocrity with us. Let's achieve greatness together. To learn more, visit www.overcomingmediocrity.org. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast.